Hey everyone, Dan here. Today I'm doing my second beer of my Cheeky Peak challenge. So I'm actually doing the Tropical Pale Ale. This beer, the grain bill is 4 kilos of Pilsner, 150 grams of Carapils, 150 grams of, just double check that, Victory malt, 400 grams of malted wheat. So that's the grain bill. We're about to mash that in, and mashing it in at 66. So this is on the Cheeky Peak website, I think on their page was the Tropical Pale Ale. I'll put everything specifically down in the comments, down in the explanation at the bottom of exact mashing in temperature and all that. I won't worry about that. But basically, this is the second beer, like I said I'm doing. So get my water in. My mash water is currently at 75 degrees, so I hope I can get this to 66 mash temp, which I should. It's I think been the top of 13 or 14 degrees all day here in Canberra, so hasn't been particularly warm. The red rye lager I did last week, a couple of weeks ago now, it's been since I brewed last, but that's now been bottled, and I'm not going to keg that like I am this. I'm actually going to lager that in the garage because it's winter time now, and I figure I should be able to lager that in the bottle. So that's my mash. I'll mash this in. We'll come back when I'm ready to do all the hop additions. There's a few different hops that are being used in this, so I'll set myself up properly. I'm in a bit of a rush because I've got to work tomorrow and it's a Saturday tomorrow, but I just wanted to get one beer done before I'm away for a couple of weeks and fermenting away. So we'll go with that. We'll come back when we're ready to go on with the hop additions and we're ready to go on with the boil. I'll quickly go through my brewing system that I'm using for this, and I use this on all my beers until I can afford to buy a nano brewery. This is my $50 eBay pot, and I've got the nano brewery tap on there and thermometer that I got from the same place that I'm getting these recipes from. And I've got the hop spider in there, which I bought as well, with a little filter there at the bottom that screws into the inside. That was about $50. All up to set up is probably $100 for that pot and the $20 hop spider. I'm using a 3-ring burner obviously below that, and I'll plug the gas bottle in soon. My mash tuns, this Esky I paid I think $29 from Bunnings from, and I've made a manifold for it, both on the bottom and the top. The top, obviously the Sparge, well, it's nice and steamy. That's a Sparge, and I drilled a heap of holes in that, welded it together. There's one similar on the bottom. The reason I put the bag in is it just helps filter. I don't end up with a stuck Sparge. I did do a few brews without that, and did end up with a slow Sparge anyway, not stuck, but just slow. So I put the bag in there as an extra filter now, and I don't actually have to Verloof now, or Whirloof, however you pronounce it. I don't have to worry about doing that. I've got a little manifold at the top there, just plumbing fitting, which that's another plumbing thing that I bought from Bunnings as well. Bloody flexible. I'm a carpenter, not a plumber, so I bought that from Bunnings, and that goes up to this pot here, which is on this stool. So it's a 3-tiered gravity system, basically. Mash tun there. That's my hot water tank. I wouldn't mind putting an electric element in that with a thermometer, and hooking that to my Inkbird so I can get that up to Sparge temp. At the moment I just use this pot here, which is 16 litres, to do all my boiling inside. Fill that up obviously with hot water once it gets to 80 degrees. The problem is it loses temperature quickly, so I mean obviously not that bad, doesn't affect it that much really. I don't have a problem, but it works. So I turn that tap on there, comes down to here, and turn that tap on. I've got a hose which will go into my kettle there, and it works really well. So that's my setup I'm using to brew all these with. I will get a 50 litre nano brewery when I can afford one, hopefully by the end of the year. Start using that. So that's how I'm brewing all my beer. Okay, so I've started the Sparge here now. I've got that going fairly slowly. Fairly slowly, a little bit more there. Just so that it's coming out at a nice little snail's pace there now. And I've started off my Sparge tank as well into there. So that'll take about half an hour for that to sparge through and wash all those extra sugars out. We'll come back when the boil's ready to go. So I'll just be patient with this part now. I'll let it go slowly, let it do its thing. I'm barbecuing at the same time, so it's not really that big an issue. It'll do its thing when it does its thing. But trick with this, from what I've watched on other YouTube channels, is just letting it sparge slowly. Some guys 45 minutes or so, some guys just literally rinse it out and bucket of water straight in it. But I like to take this process slow, so we'll come back when we're ready to put the hop additions in. Okay, so this is now at the boil. The first hop addition for the 60 minutes is a 10 grams of Horizon. So I'll just dump that in the little hop spider there. It was boiling a bit more vigorously. I'll just turn the outer ring burner down, so let that go now. The next hop additions will be whirlpool additions at 80 degrees for 20 minutes, so I won't come back for a while. I'm going to throw a Werflock tablet in with 15 minutes to go, and I'll put the wort chiller in at 15 minutes as well to let that sanitise. Hopefully my dogs don't keep coming near it. Kelpie and the Pomeranian. Little bastards. They're good dogs. Had them for years. But yeah, that'll be the next hop additions. Will be at 80 degrees. So I'll wort chill it down to 80. I'll keep the middle ring burner on when I wort chill it down to 80, just to keep that temperature at 80 degrees. You'll find it won't get higher than that if you keep the middle ring on, because there's not enough heat going into it. But we'll come back then. Okay, so I've basically I've taken the hop spider out of this, and it's still at 100 degrees. I've turned off all the burners bar the centre one, which is only about 2 inches in diameter, I suppose. So what I'll do now is I'll chill this to 80 degrees. Make sure you keep an eye on your thermometer there. As soon as it gets to about 81, 82, turn the tap off. Yeah, especially in a cold climate like Canberra where the water is really cold. It won't take long. It'll take about 3 or 4 minutes, so don't walk away and leave it. Just make sure you monitor it. So I'll put the hop spider back in. Now I've got rid of the hops and let it boil for another couple of minutes just to sanitize it again. That's fine. And I'll come back and we'll put that hop spider back in, and we'll do our 20-minute whirlpool at that's a bit bloody steamy there. We'll do our 20-minute whirlpool at 80 degrees. Okay, so I just added my 30 grams of hops for the whirlpool addition. So there's 10 grams of citra, 10 grams of Amarillo, and 10 grams of Galaxy. And I've put them in there. That's at 80 degrees now. And what I'll do is I'll get my spatula here, and I'll stir that around. I'll just sanitize this before I do that though. But I'll do that for about 20 minutes and whirlpool that. We'll come back then, and I'll actually I won't bother about that. I'll basically keg that after 20 minutes. I'll rip this out. I'll chill it down, and then I'll put it in the fermenter for 2 weeks. I don't have the Mangrove Jack yeast that was recommended in the recipe. I'll come back and I'll put that in the description below. But this is the yeast I'm using for this beer. There's a Mangrove Jack. Can't remember what it was, but I'll put it in the description. I'm using this American West Coast ale yeast because unfortunately the local home brew shop didn't have the yeast I was after. So anyway, I'll come back next time I see you when we're trying this beer. Okay, so we've brewed this tropical pale ale, and this is the end result. This has had about 2 weeks in the keg conditioning, and it's quite a lovely straw colour, nice head retention. I did a little bit of research into the grains used to brew this, and interestingly, the Carapils, and just watching videos, the Carapils is not a caramel malt at all. It's a dextrine malt, and that's used for adding mouthfeel and body and head retention to the beer. Same as the wheat malt. And I've made wheat beers before, but it's just interesting. It's still got that haze, which is probably from the 400 grams of wheat malt. The Victory is literally in it to give it some colour. Obviously, the bulk of the grain bill in this was Pilsner malt. So just to give it that light orangey straw colour, that instead of being a lot paler than it would be. This one came out, the original gravity ended up being 1.051, and the final gravity 1.012, so it was 5.12%. So I've tried it before. It's actually quite a lovely beer, and this is actually one of my staple beers that I brew in this house. It's got that real pineapple citrus flavour. It's just a really good beer. Now this is aged, about 2 or 3 weeks. When I first had it, it was a week old, and it's definitely aged a lot better. And honestly, you won't, if you're brewing beer like this at home, you won't waste your money going and buying it. So I'm really happy with that. So anyway, that's the tropical pale ale. Like I said, it's one of my staples. just a really fruity, nice beer, and most of my friends really like this one too. So I'll put the recipe in the description below. Until next time, guys, happy brewing. Cheers.